In this video, I'm going to teach you what I wish I knew when I first started surfing, from finding the best beginner board to showing you how to pop up and paddle on it, and answering FAQs like how hard is it really to learn how to surf. Make sure to stay tuned. As always, feel free to leave any questions you have down below and let me know if you want part 2. Today I wanted to make a video about learning to surf. I feel like people can be really intense when it comes to teaching people how to surf and giving tips, and I kind of just wanted to make a video that was just general information that I wish I knew when I first started surfing. So I kind of wanted to just share some tips I had with you guys in case you really want to learn how to surf and just are looking for some friendly advice. I hope these help you. If you have any questions, let me know down below. And yeah, this is in no particular order. It's just gonna be super chill, and I hope that this helps someone. Okay, I thought I'd just answer some general questions that I get quite frequently. First one is, can I teach myself how to surf? I wouldn't honestly teach yourself how to surf. I think it's really important to go out with someone. I had my friends teach me, and we just went out to a super beginner spot in Santa Cruz it's called Cowell's. There were a million surfers there. I would just make sure the first few times that you go out to just go out with someone, have them teach you some surf etiquette, how to catch waves, how to pop up, how to sit on your board, how to paddle, because those are really some foundational things that you'll be learning that are really important to learn correctly. How do beginners learn to surf? I would sign up for a surf class or find friends. I honestly loved learning from my friends because they could just give me some really helpful tips, and we started going out more together. It was more motivating. They were super happy to teach me, and it was just so much more fun. I feel like if you have some friends that could teach you and you could borrow some of their gear to see if you even like surfing, I feel like honestly that would be the best case scenario. I know that's not possible for everyone though, so in that case I would sign up for a surf class, maybe a couple surf classes actually. You can rent gear from them, then you wouldn't have to buy your own stuff. Then I've seen so many questions about people asking if they're too old to learn how to surf. No, you can learn to surf at any age. I started learning to surf when I was 21, yeah, when I was 21 I started learning how to surf. I've seen people learn to surf when they're 30, 40, 50. It's never too late. What's the hardest thing to learn in surfing? At first, the pop-up is pretty hard to get down. I would suggest practicing your pop-ups at home. I'll show you in a second at the end. Your pop-up, you just kind of got to get into your muscle memory, so practice it as much as you can at home, or before you get in the water, just put your board on the sand at the beach. Make sure that the fins are in the sand so you're not gonna mess up your fins, but then just practice your pop-up a few times before going out. I remember it took me a while, but do that on land before you get in the water. How long does it take to learn to surf? It's gonna be a lifelong journey, baby, but learning how to pop up, it really depends. It took me a couple months to be able to pop up pretty consistently, actually probably more than a few months. It takes a minute, and I was going a few times a week, so just depends on how much you're going, how committed you are. Watch YouTube videos. Those really helped me. How hard is surfing for the first time? I mean, it's gonna be difficult. It's just a lot of paddling. That's really what it is. Yeah, it just takes time. It's fine though. If you love being out in the water and being with friends and want to just get outside, it's fun, you know? Yeah, it's great. Obviously, you should know how to swim if you're learning how to surf. I feel like I've seen people ask that. Yes, you should know how to swim, because if you fall off your board, you're not by your board and you're not on top of it, you gotta swim back to your board. But if your leash comes off and you don't have your board and you can't swim, that's a big problem. So yes, you should know how to swim and tread water. Also, just always make sure that you go with someone, especially when you're first beginning. It's super important. The ocean is a dangerous place. It can change obviously a lot and very fast, so just be as safe as you can. Go to a beginner spot and you should be fine. Then I'm not going to teach you about surf etiquette here, but it's really important to learn surf etiquette. But it's good to have an idea of if someone gets on the wave first, it's their wave if they're closest to the peak. Just go watch a YouTube video on it. I won't explain it as well as they will, and I'm not gonna go into it. But yes, learn what surf etiquette is. Ask your friends, ask people. Surf spot. Yeah, just make sure you find a good beginner surf spot where a lot of people are learning, because it's just gonna be the best place for you to learn, and you can make mistakes freely. When you go to more advanced spots, people can get hella aggro, and it can be not fun. I've had surf sessions, especially in Santa Cruz, that people are just yelling at each other, and then it's like ruined my surf, because it's like, what the heck is the point? And you obviously don't want someone yelling at you if you're learning how to surf. That could definitely ruin your surfing experience. So go to a beginning spot. Okay, obviously gear is very important. I'm currently in Hawaii, so I don't need a wetsuit, but when I was in Santa Cruz in California, which is where I learned how to surf originally, I had a wetsuit, and the water was super cold there, especially in the winter. So there you kind of need like a 4-3 wetsuit. Just go to a surf shop and ask them in the place that you're going to be surfing, or like look it up online with what kind of wetsuit or swimsuit or spring suit you will need. It's just all dependent on the water temperature. A lot of times you'll be out for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and if you're freezing, you're not going to be able to stay out there for that long, and it's just not going to be enjoyable. So you want to make sure just to have like a good wetsuit that will keep you warm. Then in terms of boards, I'm going to show you my board after. So surfing at first is just going to be a lot of paddling. You're going to be paddling a lot, and it's going to get really tiring. But here's the thing, each paddle you take, the stronger you're getting. So it might take a few times, it might take a few weeks to like build up your paddle strength, but it's worth it. Even if you're not catching waves at the beginning or just paddling, that's okay. Let me go show you my foamy board. This is my wavestorm. It's an 8-foot foamy board. This is like the best beginner board out there to get. I also have a Gerry Lopez board that I'm going to show you and compare, but I like this one so much more than the Gerry Lopez. I actually took it out today. It's so much more stable. This is my opinion. It's so much more stable than the Gerry Lopez, and you can tell the quality is just like way better. So let me get the other one really fast and I'll show you. Nando's gonna come help me because I can't hold both boards up at the same time. I like the Wavestorm so much more. I just think that they're made so much better. As you can see, I've had this Gerry Lopez for almost a year now. The lining is already coming off, like it's bubbling, it's a little bit waterlogged. I didn't realize this when I got it, but the stringer is completely misaligned on this board as well. And that's really important so that you can line yourself up really well when you're paddling. I don't know, I have a harder time on this one. So even when I was learning how to surf, everyone would always fight over the Wavestorm foamy to take out when we went surfing. So yeah, anyway, so if you're just learning how to surf, I would recommend getting a foamy board like this Wavestorm. You want to make sure to get a foamy board when you're first starting, because surfing can be super dangerous. You're going to wipe out a lot when you first start. Your board could hit yourself. Actually, I got a concussion from my hardtop. That was so painful. My board hit me in the head twice during a session. I probably should have gotten out, but this, if it hits your head, it's a lot softer, so it probably won't concuss you, and it's also going to be safer if you happen to like collide with someone else. Hopefully you don't, but if it does happen, accidents do happen, this one's just a lot safer. The reason why you want a bigger board is because there's more surface area, it's going to be more buoyant, so it's going to be easier for you to paddle. The more surface area you have, like the easier it is to pop up. It's actually cheaper than a lot of boards. It's just the best beginner board to get when you're first learning how to surf. Okay, next thing you're going to want to figure out is if you're goofy or regular. So if you don't know if you're goofy or regular, a great way to tell if you've ever gotten on a skateboard, I'm goofy, so my right foot is on my board and then my left foot goes back. That's goofy foot. If you're regular, your left foot is going to be on the board when you're pushing, and then your back foot is going to be your right foot. Another way you can tell, which I'm going to use Nando again if that's okay, don't think about it. Just have someone push you from the front, like so you're falling back, and yeah, I take my left foot goes back, and that's the way I surf, like my right foot is front.
I just reposition.
And you can kind of just tell like which way would feel better. But if your right foot is forward, that means you're goofy. He's goofy too, I'm goofy. And then if your left foot is forward, you're regular. So since I'm goofy, I put my leash on my left foot. So you're gonna put your leash on whichever foot is in the back. So if you're regular, left foot front, right foot back, you're gonna put your leash on your right foot. I'll show you. This is the leash of your board. Since I'm goofy once again, I put it on my left foot. You're just gonna put it around your ankle. Make sure it's super tight and it's not gonna fall off. And then I remember learning another thing when I first started surfing. Like, it seems like you should know this, but I remember being taught this from my friends and thought it was super helpful. When you carry your board, you're gonna carry it like this before you just start walking and letting your leash drag behind you, which is bad, just pick up your foot and hold your leash in your other hand. And then you can walk forward without tripping, and it's a lot easier. Since I have the leash out, I'm going to show you how to wrap the leash around your board. If you're putting your board on top of your car, you're going to want to make sure you're doing this so that it's not flying around everywhere. Alright, so here are 3 fins, and then I got my leash here. Actually, let me show you how I usually do it. I put my board down on the ground like this. I put it in between my legs so you kind of have it under control. And then you're just going to take your leash and wrap it behind these 2 fins here. Usually goes around one or like twice, or just for extra security, loop one of the Velcro straps underneath the leash. Then it should just wrap around one of your fins like this. Make sure it's super tight and secure so it's not going to fall off when you're driving. Another question I get asked all the time is, do you need to wax your wavestorm? And I just like putting a light layer on. So unlike fiberglass boards where you have to really do like a cross-hatch pattern and put 2 types of wax on it and stuff, you don't need to do it to that extent, but I just like getting a little wax bar and just doing circular motions, or just, you know, getting some in the area where you're going to be paddling and popping up where your feet are going to be. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to pop up on your board. If you choose to practice your pop-ups on your own surfboard, just make sure you take the fins out before practicing, because you can break those very easily, like our friend almost did. Alright, so I turned my board over, and now I'm going to show you how to pop up. Pop-ups are probably the thing you'll be working on the most when you first start, as well as paddling. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I think it's best to practice on your board. It just feels very similar to how it will when you're actually trying to pop up on a wave. You can do it on the ground as well. That's actually what I did a lot. But I think this is the best way, especially when you're first learning to practice your pop-ups. So take out your fins. Then you're going to want to lay on your board. And Wavestorm has made it really nice. My chin was about where the Wavestorm mark started. When you first start learning how to paddle, the super important part is to not be too far back on your board like this. You're not going to really have any speed. The nose is going to be up and you're not going to be able to get any momentum. If you're trying to get into the wave, you want the board kind of going into it like this. And if you're too far back, your board is never going to go in. It's just going to stay like this, and the wave is going to go under you and you're not going to get into it. On the other hand, if you're too far forward on your board, the opposite is going to happen and you're going to nosedive. So it's going to be really hard for you to paddle. It's not going to glide. Water is going to be just going on top of your board, on top of your nose, and it's just not going to be fun. So your job is to find that sweet spot. If you have a Wavestorm, my chin was about where the Wavestorm logo started. My board was just gliding perfectly on top of the water, and I was able to get the most speed. Then when you're paddling, a lot of beginners will paddle like this, with their shoulders down, with their head down. Like, you can tell when a beginner is out if they're like this. You want to make sure that you're like arching your back a little bit and digging your arms into the water as best you can, but you'll get it the more you do it. But yeah, just practice your paddling. But yeah, in terms of paddling, those are some really good tips to know. After you're paddling and you want to try to get into waves, you're going to want to know how to pop up. So what I did in the first few months of when I was starting surfing, I just tried catching whitewash. The nice thing about catching whitewash waves is the wave will just carry you. You don't have to get into it. So if you're catching an unbroken wave before it has crashed, you have to get enough momentum and speed to get into the wave, and that can be quite difficult. If you're wanting to just work on your pop-ups like I did, I would recommend just catching the whitewash. You'll see once you're paddling, like, you don't even need to be paddling that hard, it will just take you. And then once the wave takes you, you can practice your pop-up and not have to think about like all those other things. So I'm going to show you how to pop up. I was just asking Nando, he remembered how he popped up when he first started surfing. It's kind of hard to remember. I still work on my pop-ups all the time. There's always room for improvement, but I'm going to show you some things that have helped me over the past couple years I've been surfing. Just start out, make sure you find that position in the middle of your board, and then you're just like mimicking paddling, paddle, paddle, paddle. Then you're going to want to place your hands at your ribs. Make sure you practice where you're looking to when you're popping up at home. If you're looking down, which is what I did a lot when I first started, you're going to fall down. It's gonna happen. Your body will go where you're looking. Trust that your body knows what to do. And then I think when I first started surfing, I kind of went to my knees, like my knees first, and then I got my foot and my other foot. Then you're just gonna wanna like find your balance. Don't stick your butt out too far. I was really bad at doing this, / I still am really bad at doing this. That's called the poo stance, and it looks very kooky. So yeah, just bend your knees, have your arms out. Try that at home. It's gonna feel like super awkward at first, but something I used to always do too when I was learning how to pop up, I put my arms out here. Yeah, it feels more stable and like maybe more natural because you can see your hands. But I promise you, when you start popping up, all your weight is in front of your board while you're trying to get your feet up. So the closer your hands are to your wrists, back here, like super far back, the better. Because now look at the position I'm in. I have more room to put my feet underneath myself instead of them being out here. It's just like really awkward. There's 3 things I like to think about after paddling and looking where you're going. Arms to your ribs, push up, there you're gonna wanna go. Back foot, front foot, while keeping your head up. Don't look down. Just trust your body. Paddle, paddle, paddle. Look where you're going, keep your eye contact up. Arms by ribs, arch, foot, foot. That was very tiring, see? Even I'm out of breath and I actually haven't been surfing as much because I got stitches. I know there's like a few different pop-up techniques. That's the one that has worked best for me. Oh, this is something you'll have to get used to too, is just sitting on your board. You'll get used to it and it'll feel totally normal soon. But your legs are gonna have to like get used to balancing and sitting on your board in the water. Say you're sitting on your board, you made it out past the break, and you're waiting and you're looking for waves. So typically you'll just be sitting on the middle of your board. But then say you see a wave coming and you want to turn your board around 180 and try to catch that wave. A quick way to do this is scooch all the way back as far as you can on your board. It's already kind of starting to do this actually. This will lift your nose out of the water and you can kind of use your feet and arms to push yourself around super fast. And then just pull your board, start paddling after. The further back you are on the tail and on your board, the easier it will be to turn your board around. I know I gave you so much information in this video about surfing and surf tips and all of that, which I hope you find useful, but it's also hard when you're out there because you're trying to think about so many things. So what I like to do is just pick one thing that you're thinking about every time you go out. So the first time you go out, just try to think about where you're gonna be on your board. Maybe the next one you're thinking about your pop-up and just looking up and not down at your board, because it can get really overwhelming with how much information there is to remember when you're out there surfing. Also, when you're learning to surf and trying to catch a wave, is you only get a couple seconds of practice time on a wave. So yeah, it can be very frustrating at times, but once you kind of learn, if you have some surf friends and stuff and get to go spend time in the ocean, learn how to surf, it's so much fun and it's so worth it. You'll never look back. Just make sure you're having fun too. Like if you're feeling very stressed or like nervous and scared, maybe just go back in for the day or something, you know? If it's not fun, if you feel super scared, it just like isn't worth it sometimes. And yeah, anyway, those are kind of my just like basic tips that I wish someone told me at the beginning too. So I hope they help. Just remember that surfing is a process. You're not going to learn how to do it in one day. You're not going to learn how to do it in a week. I'm still working on so many things. Like right now, a few of my goals are to catch bigger waves, trying to learn how to cut back. You can kind of go down the face of the wave and pump on the wave, but I'm learning how to cut back and use both arms when I surf. That's something else I'm learning right now, is that arms are a really big part of surfing. Really looking where I'm going and elongating my torso. I'm paddling. I had a surf coach tell me like some things and look at my waves, which was pretty cool. If you're interested in following my surf journey, hop over to TikTok. I post a lot about my surf journey on there. I also post some surf vlogs on here, so if you want to see some fun lifestyle surf everyday content, I post a video every Tuesday, so make sure to subscribe. Comment if you have any other video ideas, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys hopefully next time.